In a primetime address to the nation, President Trump criticized alleged vulnerabilities in the U.S. election system, but he didn't provide actual evidence of vote tampering. For years, the president and his allies have falsely claimed the 2020 election was rigged. Well, last night, the president claimed the Chinese government collected voter data, exaggerated claims about dead and non-citizen voters, and asserted that voting machines are easily compromised, even though there's a lack of evidence to support that. The White House released a trove of newly declassified documents in conjunction with this address.
This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes like levels never thought possible to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you.
However, much of the information in the documents has been known for years, and a White House official acknowledged none of it alleges votes were switched or that voting machines were hacked. Democrats slammed the address and accused Mr. Trump of seeking to undermine elections. Democratic Senator Mark Warner spoke with CBS News right after the president's speech.
I've never seen a comments like this from a president of the United States. Doesn't matter what party. That's nothing to do with party. That is so less connected to truth than this. And if we don't step up, and you guys as journalists and people across the political aisle stand up and say our election integrity is too important to mess around with, then shame on all of us.
Now, we've got team coverage on this for you this morning. Jared Hill is here in studio to fact-check the president's speech. Anna Coren is standing by in London with China's reaction to the president's allegations. But first, let's begin with CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro in our D.C. bureau. Aaron, good morning. So President Trump didn't necessarily provide any groundbreaking or new info on elections. So what was the point of this speech, and how are Democrats reacting?
Good morning, Errol. While a lot of the speech was relitigating his obsession with the 2020 election, the forward-looking part of why he made the speech is at least twofold. One, it continues his push for Congress to pass the Save America Act. That's an election bill he's been pushing that would require proof of citizenship and a photo ID in order to vote, and he's been trying to pass that before the midterms this year. And he ended his speech last night with that message to Congress. Take a listen.
But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat?
Now, that bill wouldn't address much of the concerns in terms of foreign actors in our elections that the president laid out from his findings. But beyond further preventing non-citizens from voting, that's a number that may have been exaggerated. That's one thing that Save America Act could address. Another part of why he made this speech is to potentially set up any future actions, at least in the White House's justification, to try and control the 2026 elections, have more federal oversight on what is usually a state-run process. He said the administration would be working with states to secure voter data and address known, quote, technical vulnerabilities for this year's elections, which are just months away. Now, there was that kind of expertise for these elections at a federal level created with CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, but that agency has been severely defunded during the president's second term. Now, Democrats heavily criticized the point of this whole speech. California Governor Gavin Newsom said it was a, quote, 25th Amendment moment, reference to the amendment that sets out the line of succession when the president is unable to do their job. And in the statement, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said that the Save America Act is going nowhere and that it's been rejected already by the courts and Republicans in Congress. He added that, quote, Democrats will fight like hell to make sure every American voter can cast their ballot freely without obstruction or interference from Donald Trump.
All right, Aaron Navarro with the why behind this speech and some of the top-line reaction. Aaron, thank you. Let's speak with CBS News' Jared Hill now. He's in studio. And for those of you who missed the speech, we've got a quick fact-check with Jared. Jared, good morning. What jumped out to you from what the president said?
Errol, we got a lot to get to. Let's start at the top, though. One of the big things is that there was no new evidence of vote tampering. President Trump repeated several claims that American elections are not secure. He also alleged China acquired hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files to interfere with the election.
The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history.
CBS News finds that claim misleading. It's still not clear how China accessed voter data or what they did with it if they did. We do know that all states make at least some voting information publicly available. A 2020 bulletin from the FBI and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency says, quote, while cyber actors have in recent years obtained voter registration information, the acquisition of this data did not impact the voting process or election results. It went on to say that there is no information suggesting a cyber attack on our election infrastructure compromised the integrity of any votes. President Trump also repeated claims that America's election systems are vulnerable, again, offering no new evidence. Here's what he said.
Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system, and that is to make that system secure, one where cheating and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard.
All right, CBS News find that claim to be false. Federal officials have repeatedly addressed this, saying that the U.S. election system remains secure. CISA, the cybersecurity agency, says that there was no evidence of malicious activity in the 2024 election, and the agency says the 2020 vote was, quote, the most secure in American history. Both Georgia and Pennsylvania confirmed that the 2024 election results after conducting their own audits of the vote. The president also continued his tirade against mail-in ballots. Trump has long tried to discredit voting by mail. Here's what he said last night.
Mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt, so you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned.
All right, CBS also finds this claim to be false. Multiple studies have shown that there is no evidence of widespread mail-in ballot fraud. The Brookings Institute also found that only 4 cases of fraud out of every 10 million mail votes across several elections. And the president himself voted by mail as recently as this year during Florida's special election. Now, he said he couldn't be there to vote, but Trump was golfing in Palm Beach during the early voting period. You can see a full breakdown of President Trump's claims with all the context in our ratings on CBSNews.com, as well as at the Free Press News app. Back to you, Earl.
Crucial there, the CBS News app. Jared, thank you very much. Let's jump now to CBS News foreign correspondent Anna Coren. She's in our London newsroom. Anna, good morning to you. So what reaction are we seeing from China based on the president's claims?
Errol, China has responded forcefully to President Trump's allegations that Beijing interfered in the 2020 elections. In a MOFA briefing a few hours ago in Beijing, the spokesman described these claims as pure fabrication and malicious smears, which have long been proven as baseless. Now, during Trump's primetime address, he stated that Beijing had carried out, quote, the largest compromise of election data in history, illicitly collecting 220 million voter files over a period of years. Now, as Jared said, we don't know where the president got that number from. And we also should point out to our viewers that US intelligence found no evidence of Chinese meddling in the 2020 election. It has been known for years that China has tried to collect voter data, which is readily available on the internet. The data would reveal insights about American voters, but not allow for votes to be manipulated. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Lin Jian said, quote, the US allegations have no factual ground and are aimed at defaming China. He went on to say, we urge the US to engage in some self-reflection, cease its groundless smear campaign against China, refrain from using China as a political football in the election, and do more to foster China-US relations. Now, Errol, this comes 2 months since President Trump's state visit to Beijing, which, was really seen as a reset in trying to improve relations between the two superpowers. But these latest accusations by Trump could certainly complicate this fragile truce and potentially affect the upcoming visit by China's President Xi Jinping to Washington. That is expected to take place in September, Errol.
Very interesting. All right, Anna Coren in London for us. Anna, thank you.